Welcome back to our channel, Soap Fans. Today is a beautiful, thrilling day to dive straight into the explosive drama brewing in Los Angeles. Grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's unpack the jaw-dropping twists heading your way. The collision course was set the moment while Spencer's fist met Eric Forster's jaw. Nobody could have predicted the catastrophic shockwave about to obliterate the Forster and Logan dynasties. Fate has finally forced a devastating hand. The high-stakes consequences are about to leave Los Angeles in absolute ruins. The tension is palpable, the battle lines are drawn in blood, and the fallout will be absolutely legendary. Prepare yourselves for the most explosive, heart-stopping week in recent soap history. Ridge Forster has officially reached his absolute breaking point. The Forster patriarch is boiling with a terrifying, unyielding rage. The horrifying sight of his legendary father battered and bruised on a barroom floor has ignited an uncontrollable inferno. The bitter blood feud with the Spencers has crossed an unforgivable, violent line. Ridge is no longer playing the role of the patient, understanding peacemaker. He is a man on a ruthless warpath. He marches into his glamorous home, the tension crackling in the air like dangerous lightning. Ridge is bringing the battle directly to his own living room. The time for compromises, negotiations, and gentle warnings is dead and gone. In a scene dripping with cinematic tension, Ridge completely corners Brooke Logan Forster. He delivers a devastating, non-negotiable ultimatum that will shake the very foundation of their iconic romance. The days of divided loyalties are instantly terminated. Ridge looks the absolute love of his life dead in the eye and demands the unthinkable. If Brooke wants to save their marriage, she must make a brutal, life-altering choice. If she wants to hold on to their legendary destiny, she must cut ties completely. Ridge demands she sever all contact with Hope Logan and the entire Logan fashion empire. It is the Spencers or him. There is no middle ground left to stand on. Brooke is thrust into a state of sheer, unadulterated panic. The air violently leaves her lungs. The walls of her sprawling mansion seem to close in around her. She is being forced to choose between the man who holds her heart and the daughter who shares her blood. It is an impossible, agonizing choice. A cruel twist of fate threatens to tear her soul into a million jagged pieces. Brooke's initial reaction is pure, unfiltered horror. She launches a desperate, tearful plea for Ridge to see reason. She screams that a mother can never, ever abandon her child. She begs him to understand the biological, unbreakable bond that ties her to Hope. But Ridge stands firm, his jaw set in stone, his eyes blazing with the memory of his father's assault. The ultimatum hangs in the air, heavy and suffocating, but panic quickly morphs into a feral, blinding rage. Brooke Logan is not a woman who cowers in a corner when her family is threatened. She refuses to be backed into a corner by anyone, not even the love of her life. She absolutely refuses to let Ridge sever the sacred bond between mother and daughter. Brooke vows that she will never abandon Hope. She will fight tooth and nail for her child, no matter the catastrophic cost. Even if it means going to total, scorched earth war with a man she loves, Brooke will not back down. The Forster-Logan matriarch is preparing for the fight of her life. And Brooke knows exactly who to blame for this sudden, ruthless ultimatum. Steffi Forster Finnegan. In Brooke's mind, there is absolutely no doubt that Steffi is the sinister puppet master pulling Ridge's strings. Steffi's relentless vendetta against the Logans has finally poisoned Ridge's mind completely. Brooke's sorrow solidifies into a lethal, calculating determination. She begins plotting an extreme, devastating retaliation against Steffi. If Steffi wants to destroy Brooke's family, Brooke is fully prepared to burn Steffi's world to the ground. The ultimate Forster-Logan showdown is imminent. Brooke is sharpening her claws, ready to strike at the very heart of Steffi's empire. The war for Forster Creations is about to turn incredibly ugly. Meanwhile, Entirely oblivious to the nuclear bomb detonating in her mother's marriage, Hope Logan is busy at Logan Designs. She is pouring her heart and soul into her work. She is completely insulated from the Forrester chaos. Hope is brainstorming bold new ideas, surrounded by luxurious fabrics and ambitious sketches. She is working tirelessly with Deke Sharp, completely focused on building her new fashion legacy. Hope is sketching her future with a fierce, independent fire. She has absolutely no idea that her mother is currently standing on the precipice of a marital apocalypse. Brooke is fighting a desperate, bloody battle to keep her in the family, while Hope remains blissfully unaware. The dramatic irony is thick and suffocating. Hope's creative sanctuary is a ticking time bomb, waiting to explode. She is blissfully unaware of the catastrophic revelation heading her way. When Hope finally learns the true, devastating price of her defection, the fallout will be legendary. The Logan Fashion House is about to become ground zero for the biggest family explosion in decades. Hope's ambition has inadvertently triggered a war that could cost her mother everything. The stakes have never been higher for the young designer. Across town, the collateral damage of the fashion war is taking a much darker, far more destructive turn. Will Spencer is a man drowning in his own reckless mistakes. Banished from the Forrester world, he is spiraling completely out of control. Despised by the woman he loves, Will is hitting absolute rock bottom. The golden boy of the Spencer empire is crumbling under the weight of his own violent actions. Haunted by the sickening memory of striking an elderly man, Will is completely unraveling. The beach house has become a dark, suffocating tomb of regret and isolation. The crashing waves outside perfectly mirror the violent, chaotic turmoil inside his head. Will turns to the only solace he can find in this dark hour, a heavy bottle of hard liquor. He is desperate to numb the overwhelming pain. Will pours drink after drink. He is desperately trying to drown out the deafening silence of Elektra's absence. The alcohol heavily fuels his self-loathing. It violently strips away his inhibitions, leaving him completely exposed. His raw, bleeding vulnerabilities are left wide open for anyone to exploit. He is a broken, shattered man, teetering dangerously on the edge of a total emotional collapse. His phone sits silently on the counter. Every unanswered text to Elektra is a sharp dagger to his chest. He knows he has ruined everything, and the guilt is eating him alive. He is primed and ready for a catastrophic mistake. The stage is perfectly set for a predator to swoop in and take advantage of his fractured state. And that predator is already circling, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Enter Melissa Dillon, the ultimate, calculating opportunist. Dillon has been waiting in the shadows with predatory, terrifying patience. She has watched Will's relationship with Elektra implode from a distance. She knows exactly when to strike, and the moment is right now. Finding Will in a state of drunken, pathetic despair, Dillon makes her move. She glides into the beach house, ready to execute her devious plan. Dillon swoops in, flawlessly playing the role of the comforting, understanding confidant. Her voice is soft, soothing, and dangerously reassuring. Her touch is lingering, deliberate, and electric. Her intentions are entirely, ruthlessly predatory. She knows exactly what Will needs to hear, and she delivers it with lethal precision. Dillon is spinning a web, and Will is falling right into it. She capitalizes on every single ounce of Will's weakness. She validates his explosive anger, telling him he was provoked. She smoothly soothes his overwhelming guilt, whispering that everyone makes mistakes. She expertly maneuvers herself into the gaping, bleeding void left by Elektra Forrester. Dillon is systematically breaking down the last remaining walls around Will's guarded heart. The beach house becomes the ultimate, inescapable trap. It is heavy with the scent of alcohol, desperation, and impending doom. Will's defenses are already completely obliterated by the liquor. They crumble into absolute dust under Dylan's aggressive, intoxicating seduction. He is powerless to resist the comfort she is offering. The lines between right and wrong blur into a dangerous, hazy oblivion. In a moment of pure, reckless abandon, Will surrenders to the passion. The lines of loyalty are permanently, violently erased. The mistake is sudden, explosive, and completely irreversible. Will and Dylan cross the ultimate line, engaging in a desperate, fiery encounter that seals Will's fate forever. The passion is fueled by grief, alcohol, and a desperate need to feel something other than pain. It is a betrayal that can never, ever be undone. It is a physical manifestation of Will's total, catastrophic self-destruction. The sheets are tangled, the damage is done, and the Spencer heir has just detonated his own romantic future. There is absolutely no going back from this explosive, life-altering hookup. Will has just handed his worst enemy the ultimate weapon to destroy his life. The morning sun brings a horrifying, gut-wrenching clarity. Will wakes up to a living, breathing nightmare. The heavy, intoxicating haze of alcohol lifts, leaving behind a crushing, suffocating wave of intense regret. The brutal reality of his actions hits him like a runaway freight train. He looks over at the other side of the bed and feels the bile rise in his throat. The mistake is staring him right in the face. He looks at Dylan and realizes the catastrophic, world-ending magnitude of what he has just done. He has violently, permanently destroyed any lingering chance of a reconciliation with Elektra. He has handed his heart and his future over to a fatal, unforgivable mistake. The guilt threatens to swallow him whole. Will Spencer has officially ruined his own life, and there is no one to blame but himself. Dylan, however, is basking in a quiet, incredibly smug triumph. Her calculated, devious plan has worked flawlessly. She has successfully staked her physical, undeniable claim on Will Spencer. She has driven a permanent, insurmountable wedge between him and Elektra. Dylan stretches out, a victorious smirk playing on her lips. She has conquered the Spencer heir, and she has no intention of letting him go. Dylan's initial victory is completely secured. She has set the stage for a toxic, inescapable, and dangerous entanglement. This dark secret will inevitably drag Will further into the darkness, binding him to Dylan in a web of guilt and manipulation. Dylan has won the battle, but the war for Will's soul is only just beginning. She is ready to fight dirty to keep what she has just stolen. And with a heartbroken, traumatized Elektra Forrester, reeling from the violent chaos, she is completely shattered. Deeply traumatized by Will's brutal assault on her grandfather, Elektra is desperately seeking safety and stability. She finds that ultimate, comforting safety in the waiting, eager arms of R.J. Forrester. R.J. is standing by, ready to sweep her off her feet and heal her broken heart. R.J. is fiercely protective and completely devoted to Elektra. He steps up as the ultimate, undeniable romantic alternative. He capitalizes perfectly on Will's massive public downfall. R.J. offers Elektra the stability, respect, and gentle love she so desperately craves. He is ready to claim her heart for good, proving that he is the better man. The contrast between R.J.'s gentle care and Will's violent outbursts is stark. Elektra leans heavily on R.J. for comfort. She allows his unwavering, constant support to soothe her battered, exhausted soul. The undeniable, electric spark between them ignites into a blazing, undeniable romance. Elektra is finding solace, profound peace, and intense passion with R.J. She is finally feeling safe again, wrapped in the protective embrace of a true Forrester gentleman. She is completely, blissfully unaware of the ultimate betrayal that has just transpired at the beach house. Elektra is moving on, leaving Will in the dust where he belongs. This explosive, shifting new dynamic is about to send the Forster-Spencer War into the absolute stratosphere. The battle lines are hardening, and the romantic stakes have never been more dangerous. Elektra's pivot to RJ, combined with Will's fatal, drunken mistake with Dylan, creates an inescapable, volatile love quadrangle. The battle lines are no longer just about fashion, corporate espionage, or stolen designs. They are drawn in blood, heartbreak, and irreversible, devastating betrayals. The younger generation is tearing each other apart, mirroring the toxic wars of their parents. The stage is perfectly set for the most explosive, unforgettable showdown in Los Angeles history. Ridge's ruthless ultimatum, Brooke's extreme revenge, Will's drunken betrayal, and Elektra's passionate new romance are on a direct, high-speed collision course. When these dark secrets finally explode into the light of day, nothing will ever be the same again. The fallout will change the landscape of B&B forever. Will Brooke's extreme revenge destroy Steffi, or will the Forster-Spencer War leave everyone in ashes? Next, the glamorous, velvet-roped world of Los Angeles high fashion has officially devolved into a brutal, blood-spattered fight club, framing the most explosive moments of the season as an inevitable collision of fate and high-stakes consequences. Forget who is sleeping with who. Forget which designer is stealing which runway collection. The real scandal tearing through the heart of the Forrester and Logan empires is a shocking epidemic of sheer, unadulterated physical violence. The runway lights are shattering under the weight of flying fists, and the corporate boardrooms have transformed into literal boxing rings. Somebody needs to hand out a Los Angeles County arrest report, and Ridge Forster's name is stamped on it right alongside the usual hot-headed suspects. Well, Spencer's entire personality has morphed into a walking, talking assault charge. Let us start with the obvious repeat offender in this chaotic narrative. Well, Spencer has hit R.J. Forrester so many times this month that the phrase, "I hit him again," has practically become his official catchphrase on this soap opera. By his own startling admission, he did it again and again and again. We are talking about a relentless barrage of physical altercations that have turned Forster Creations and the local hangouts into personal combat zones. Will cannot seem to process his emotional turmoil without resorting to brutal physical force, and his knuckles are doing all the talking. This violent streak reached a terrifying climax before he swung one more devastating time and accidentally decked the legendary patriarch, Eric Forster, instead. Sending a grown, elderly man to the floor at the bikini bar is not just a misstep. It is a catastrophic event that shattered the fragile peace between these warring dynasties. The neon lights of the bar flickered over a scene of absolute horror as Eric crumpled to the ground, a direct victim of Will's unchecked, explosive rage. Will keeps calling it an accident. And sure, the last one technically was an accident. The fist was meant for RJ, but the collateral damage was the founder of Forster Creations. But a man who simply cannot stop throwing punches at family gatherings, business meetings, and public bars does not get to plead a misunderstanding forever. The optics are absolutely brutal. Will is a ticking time bomb, and every time he enters a room, the threat of physical violence enters with him. Somebody call security and maybe a high-priced defense lawyer, because Will is spiraling completely out of control. His fists fly faster than his words, and the physical toll he is exacting on the people around him is reaching a critical, unforgivable breaking point. However, the hypocrisy running through the veins of the Forster family is so much deeper and far more insidious. Everybody wants to talk about Will's flying fists, but absolutely nobody in the Forster camp is mentioning that R.J. Forster threw a brutal punch right back. That is right. R.J. clocked Will Spencer outright. There was no accident about it. There was no tragic miscalculation of a swing or a stumble in the dark. It was pure, deliberate, unadulterated payback. R.J. admitted it himself. He wanted to inflict pain, and he executed his violent retaliation with precision. It is incredibly funny how the Forrester family, the very people who have been loudly demanding that we'll catch a charge for weeks, suddenly went completely, hypocritically quiet the exact second their own golden boy connected his knuckles with a Spencer jaw. A punch is a punch, whichever Forrester or Spencer is throwing it. The double standard is staggering. RJ is parading around Los Angeles like a victimized saint, wearing his bruises like badges of honor. Yet he is actively participating in the exact same violent brawls that he vehemently condemns Will for instigating. And then there's the so-called patriarch of peace, Ridge Forrester, who just had the most spectacular glass jaw moment of the decade. Ridge marched directly into Bill Spencer's executive office. He did not go there to negotiate a truce. He did not go there to discuss the intricacies of the fashion war, the stolen designs, or the future of their respective companies. He went there to throw a fist. The polished mahogany of Bill Spencer's executive desk practically vibrated from the sheer force of Ridge's unchecked, seething aggression as he stormed through the doors. Bill, sitting there with that trademark, infuriatingly smug grin plastered across his face, knew exactly which buttons to push. He always does. When the words Mini Ridge dripped condescendingly from Bill's lips, the air in the room instantly evaporated. Ridge did not pause to consider the legal ramifications of his actions. He did not stop to think about his position as the co-CEO of an international fashion house or the example he was setting. He simply drew back his fist and launched a devastating sucker punch directly into Bill's jaw. The sickening crack of bone on bone echoed through the Spencer Publications tower, a brutal testament to Ridge's complete inability to manage his own fragile ego. And the kicker? Ridge didn't even bother pretending it was an accident afterward. He stood there, chest heaving, fully owning the assault with a look of vindicated fury. Ridge spends half his screen time lecturing everyone else in Los Angeles about violence, boundaries, and corporate professionalism. He looks down his arrogant nose at Will Spencer's temper. Yet, he turns right around and solves his own deeply rooted insecurities with his knuckles. If Will Spencer is getting cuffed for hitting people he loves and hates, Ridge Forrester should absolutely be right there in the squad car with him, sharing a ride to the local precinct. The sheer audacity of Ridge demanding accountability from a young man while simultaneously committing corporate assault is mind-boggling. He is a grown man, a seasoned executive, resorting to barroom brawling tactics because his feelings were hurt by a sarcastic comment. The hypocrisy is not just thick, it is suffocating. Now, let us talk about the matriarch of mayhem, Brooke Logan, who somehow miraculously gets left off every single one of these lists regarding violent offenders. That omission is a crime in itself. Brooke Logan has been serving up a 2-for-1 special of physical assault that would get anyone else banned from a corporate building for life and slapped with a massive lawsuit. First, she hauled off and slapped her own sister, Katie Logan, across the face. The strike was so vicious, so fast, and so hard that Katie had to physically warn her never to do it again. But did Brooke listen to that warning? Absolutely not. Weeks later, Brooke's rage reached a feral, unhinged boiling point in the Logan showroom. The situation escalated from a tense verbal spar into a scene straight out of a horror movie. Brooke, completely blinded by her own self-righteous fury and desperate need for control, lost her grip on reality. Her perfectly manicured fingers wrapped around a heavy, velvet-lined jewelry box resting on a nearby display table. This was not a lightweight prop. It was a solid, weighted object capable of inflicting serious harm. With a terrifying scream of pure vindictive rage, Brooke whipped the box straight at Katie's head. It was a lethal projectile aimed with malicious intent. Katie barely had time to flinch as the box sailed past her temple by a fraction of an inch. The heavy velvet box slammed violently into a massive, expensive digital display screen behind Katie. The glass shattered instantly, erupting into a million jagged pieces that rained down on the showroom floor like glittering shrapnel. The deafening crash was the sound of the Logan sisterhood permanently breaking. That is not just a temper tantrum. That is a dangerous, violent pattern of behavior, and patterns get charges. Brooke has been quick to disown Katie for far smaller sins than putting hands and heavy objects on her own sister. Brooke believes she is morally superior, acting out of some twisted sense of maternal protection for Hope, but her actions are those of a feral animal backed into a corner. She is lashing out with physical force because her words no longer carry any weight, and she refuses to accept that she has lost control of her family. The systemic culture of violence in these families is the real villain of this story. Ridge and Brooke sit in their glass houses, throwing stones and velvet boxes while condemning the younger generation for the exact same lack of impulse control. Well, Spencer is undoubtedly a powder keg, but where did he learn it? He is surrounded by adults who use violence as a primary communication tool. Ridge Forrester once threw Bill Spencer off a balcony. Brooke Logan slaps anyone who disagrees with her romantic or corporate edicts. The entire culture of these families is steeped in physical retaliation and toxic dominance. Wiesel the only one facing the threat of termination, police intervention, and public disgrace. The double standard applied to Will versus the elders is a glaring indictment of the Forrester and Logan moral compass. RJ gets a free pass for a revenge punch. Ridge gets a free pass for assaulting a rival CEO. Brooke gets a free pass for nearly taking her sister's head off with a heavy projectile. Yet Will is painted as the sole monster lurking in the shadows of Los Angeles. Honestly, the Los Angeles Police Department needs to book them all and let a judge sort it out in a court of law. Well, Spencer is undeniably the one with the loudest volume problem, but Ridge Forrester and Brooke Logan have been swinging every bit as freely, and somehow absolutely nobody is calling their behavior a legal crisis. Between Will's flying fists, RJ's calculated payback punch, Ridge Forrester's unhinged sucker shot at Bill Spencer, and Brooke Logan's two separate, violent hits on her own sister, this so-called family has racked up more physical altercations in one single month than most soap opera towns see in an entire year. Somebody get this family a massive blanket restraining order before someone actually gets killed. Will this family face prison time, or will the violence escalate into a fatal tragedy? Drop your wildest theories in the comments below, hit subscribe, and join the debate.